It's a Thursday evening, and Mateo is sitting at his kitchen table with his laptop open and a stack of papers next to it. Bills. Not the dramatic kind you see in movies where a guy is drowning in red envelopes, just the ordinary kind. The electric bill, the car insurance renewal, the credit card statement he told himself he'd deal with last month. His wife is putting the kids to bed. The dishwasher is running. The house smells like dinner. Everything looks completely normal from the outside. And Mateo is sitting here quietly doing the math and realizing the math does not work. Not barely work, not work if they cut back on a few things, just does not work. My name is Shazy, and today we're going to talk about why Mateo isn't alone, why millions of Americans who earn decent money, own homes, and do everything right are quietly arriving at the same table, the same stack of papers, and the same broken math. We're going to look at the real numbers behind the headline that says the American consumer is strong, spending is up, and the economy is fine. And then we're going to figure out what you actually do if you are Mateo right now. Because the headline number is lying to you, and the lie has a very specific shape. Here's the number you keep hearing. Consumer spending is at record levels, credit card balances hit over $1 trillion, savings rates have bounced back. The official story is that Americans are spending confidently and the economy is holding up. Financial headlines run phrases like resilient consumer and strong household balance sheets. And when you read them, you feel one of two things, either relieved because maybe things are fine, or confused because nothing about your own situation feels fine. Here's the problem with the headline. It's an average. And you already know what averages do. We covered this. The billionaire and the 9 regular people in the room, the average net worth of that room looks like everyone's rich. Technically true, completely useless. The same trick is happening with consumer spending data. When the top 20% of earners increase their spending, the average goes up. The headline says consumers are spending. What it actually means is that wealthy Americans are spending, and the math averaged everyone else into the party they weren't invited to. The median American family, different story. Completely different story. Pause the video. I mean it. Open your bank app right now. Look at your checking account balance. Not your total net worth, not your retirement account, just what's sitting in checking that you could actually use this month. Write down that number. Now compare it to this. The median American household has less than $400 in readily available liquid savings. Not $4,000. Not $400,000, $400 between the typical family and a genuinely bad week. Read that again. A car repair, a medical copay, a busted water heater. For the median American household, any one of those events doesn't just cause stress, it causes a cascade. The credit card goes on, the minimum payment goes on, the interest rate kicks in at 22%, and the hole gets deeper before the month is even over. Here is where you actually stand. Let me give you the real scoreboard. If you have less than $400 liquid right now, you are the median. You are not behind. You are the exact middle of the country. If you have 1 month of expenses saved, around $3,000 to $4,000, you are doing better than roughly 60% of Americans. If you have 3 to 6 months of expenses, a real emergency fund, you are in the top third of actual financial stability. And if you have 6 months of expenses plus meaningful retirement savings growing in the background, you are in the top 10% of financial stability in this country, even if it doesn't feel that way, because it never feels that way. Now, where it gets bad. Take Mateo, median income around $75,000, homeowner, 2 kids, does not feel rich, does not feel broke, feels like he is treading water in a pool that keeps getting slightly deeper. Mateo's gross income looks fine. His take-home is around $54,000 after taxes. That's $4,500 a month landing in checking. His mortgage is $1,800, his car payment is $500, insurance across the car, home, and health runs another $600. Groceries for a family of 4 runs about $1,200 a month in 2026. Utilities, phone plan, internet, another $350. That is $4,450 in fixed and near-fixed expenses before Mateo buys a single cup of coffee, takes 1 kid to a birthday party, or puts any gas in the car. Mateo has $50 of breathing room a month. 50. And that's assuming nothing breaks. Now, here's where I need to rehook you, because this is the part that changes everything. Mateo did not get here because he is bad with money. Mateo got here because the game changed while he was playing by the old rules, and nobody sent a memo. Here is the structural villain in Mateo's story. In 2019, Mateo's mortgage, his car payment, and his grocery bill consumed about 60% of his take-home pay. Uncomfortable, but survivable. Enough left over to save a little, breathe a little, maybe take a vacation without putting it on a card. That was the math that made the middle class feel like it was working. Between 2020 and 2023, three things happened simultaneously that almost never happened at the same time. Home prices went up 40%, car prices went up 25%, and grocery prices went up 22%, all at once in 3 years, while wages for median earners went up roughly 12% over the same period. Do that math. The things Mateo pays for went up 30 to 40%. His paycheck went up 12. The gap between those two numbers is not a discipline problem. It is not a budgeting problem. It is structural. It is the game being played at a difficulty level the rules were not designed for. And the credit card is where that gap lives. Mateo's credit card balance is now around $8,000. That is almost exactly the national median for cardholders who carry a balance. He did not run it up on vacations and impulse buys. He ran it up on the water heater that broke in February, the transmission repair in April, the ER copay his insurance covered after the deductible, which he did not have in cash, and the months where the math just did not close and the groceries went on the card. Now that $8,000 is compounding at 22% interest. That is $147 a month in interest alone just to stand still, just to owe the same amount next month that he owes right now. Mateo is paying $147 a month for the privilege of being exactly where he is. This is why the financial breaking point is not dramatic. It does not look like bankruptcy. It does not look like losing the house. It looks like Mateo at his kitchen table on a Thursday night running the numbers again and realizing there is no version of this month where everything gets paid and anything gets saved, and then doing it again next month. Here is what almost nobody tells you about that moment. That moment is not a personal failure. That moment is the predictable output of a decade of stagnant wages, elevated costs, and a consumer credit system designed to absorb the gap. The system wants Mateo to run that balance. The 22% interest on his $8,000 is $176 of profit a month for the credit card company. They are doing great. Mateo is fine, in exactly the way the system needs him to be fine, which is just fine enough to keep paying. So what does Mateo actually do? Here is the turn. The worst thing Mateo can do right now is feel like the math is permanent. The second worst thing is to try to solve a structural problem with a motivation problem, meaning to look at himself and decide the issue is that he needs to try harder, spend less on coffee, meal prep more aggressively. Those things help at the margins. They do not close a structural gap. What closes the gap is attacking the highest interest rate first, which is always the credit card, and then redirecting every dollar freed up into a tiny liquid buffer before anything else. Not retirement, not investments, a buffer. Because without the buffer, every unexpected expense goes back on the card, the interest restarts, and the wheel spins again. Here is what that looks like in real numbers for Mateo. He calls his credit card company and asks for a lower rate. It works about 30% of the time and takes 4 minutes. He applies for a balance transfer card at 0% for 15 months. He pays down the $8,000 over 12 months at $667 a month, which hurts but saves him around $1,300 in interest he is currently paying to stand still. Month 13, the card is gone. That $147 a month in interest becomes his buffer. Month by month, the buffer builds. By month 18, he has enough in savings that the next unexpected expense does not touch the card at all. The wheel stops. That is not a dream. That is subtraction and redirection. It is not exciting. It is the only math that works. Mateo walks away from the kitchen table, closes the laptop, and writes down one number. Not his balance, not his income. The one number he is going to attack first. The credit card. One number. That's the whole plan. Somewhere right now, another version of Mateo is sitting at a different kitchen table in a different city, doing the same math and coming to the same breaking point. The bills are different, the balances are slightly different, the feeling is identical. The breaking point is real. It is structural and it was built for you, not by you. The window to get out is narrower than it used to be. It is not closed. If this helped, subscribe and drop a comment below telling me which tier you landed in when you checked your checking account. I read every one. One last thing, and it's the only boring sentence in this video. I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. It's just the real numbers put where you can actually see them. I'll see you in the next one.